What is going on, garden fans? Welcome back to the Permaculture Homestead. I am at the project site right now. It is windy, it is noisy, it is loud. I'm probably going to end up narrating this one, but come on back and check it out because there is a lot of special things going on here out at the project site. If you aren't already, please like, share, and subscribe beforehand. It really helps us out. We appreciate you. God bless. Come on back. Welcome back to the project site, garden fans. The site itself is going on to its third growing season, and the newest addition we have so far has been the beehives this year. Currently, they have a good coverage on the sides and on the back. They're getting good afternoon shade from the shrubbery around them. I've added a second deep to both boxes. They're growing and progressing as they should for this time of the year. Now, getting to the tour, as always, I'm starting at the bottom and I'm working my way up the hill. I want to talk about one of the most controversial plants I grow, and that's autumn olive, Elaeagnus umbellata. Now, one of the primary principles in permaculture is to work with nature, not against it. And people have a love-hate relationship with this plant. The people that love it are telling me, I'm not growing enough of it. I should have more nitrogen fixation out here. I'm an idiot for not having more of this plant. And the people that hate this plant are telling me, hey, you're an idiot for growing this plant. This is invasive, wild food. You shouldn't be growing this. So I'm losing one way or another. Obviously, you see me growing it. I'm getting a good harvest and a yield off of it. I'm going to work with nature and I'm going to work with this plant. This plant in nature is a support species. It's a pioneer plant. It grows in very poor soils. It fixes nitrogen in the soil and it gives me an edible yield. It's going to feed me. Also, while it's here, it is protecting my pawpaws right now, which need some shade in the early part of their life. Eventually, these pawpaws here are going to get 20, 30, 40, maybe even 50 feet tall, depending on. The shrub right next to them is only ever going to be 10 to 12 feet tall. I'm going to continually chop and drop them to a size and prune their suckers out and sell them, actually. So this is a yield. This is a food plant that is feeding me, it is protecting my plants, and right now it's doing exactly what it needs to do in the landscape. I'm not afraid of it. I'm working with nature. For all the naysayers, go ahead and naysay. For all the people that love it, I'm sure I'll be growing more in the future. Now I want to quickly move forward here a little bit. The joy of narrating is I can always move forward in time a little bit. Figs. I've got figs growing on the swale mounds here above the autumn olive and above the pawpaws. And so far they're doing good. I mean, figs are great. They're set up on the mound so that we can have a you pick, you pull kind of style operation here. On the actual on the swale patties, we have tons of blueberries. Blueberries upon blueberries upon blueberries. And they're the understory for mayhaws. And we got a couple different variety of mayhaws, which all have comfrey as a support species under them. Now I put these plants here because this is the most clay soil we got. It's the poorest soil. It generally stays waterlogged. All these plants can handle that. The soil here is a little more acidic because of the clay too. Moving along, I want to talk about, here we go. Here's another one of those wild edible plants that I'm growing out here. Elderberry is one. Another one is a wild blackberry. Here's another plant that I grow that people say I'm crazy for growing. However, look at the fruit on this plant. This is huge, thick blackberries, and if just given the space, they actually taste pretty dang sweet. There's really good genetics out here. They're not that seedy. So if you can handle the thorns, then you can also handle the blessing that these edible weeds have to offer. Birds don't come in here. Rabbits don't usually mess with these shrubs that much. This is an easy food source to pick up from. I have the blackberries that everybody hates growing on the elderberry underneath it that everybody also hates. Around South Carolina, elderberry is considered a weed. It grows out on the side of the road, which is basically where I've got all these cuttings from. So here's another demonstration of invasive, wild, edible permaculture feeding us and feeding us very well. Believe it or not, the owners have come out here and they've been faithfully picking blackberries, and they've got a lot more blackberries to pick. Once again, these are big, thick blackberries. I would compare them to Triple Crown thornless variety, and these are wild. These are really good genetics here for wild plants, and we allow them to grow We're not scared of the weeds. We're working with the weeds, and we manage these plants. We manage them into these swales. We have it set up, once again, you pick, you pull style, and this is going to be very beneficial in the future for this project farm. Once again, not scared of the weeds. Work with the weeds. They will bless you in return. Okay, I'm going to start jamming through this tour here a little bit so that it doesn't end up being 20 minutes long. The third swale mound up has a mixed fruit and nut tree planting. We've got cherries, we've got all types of nuts. I'm going to pause here to show you some of the sea berry that we planted. We planted out 40 sea berry this year as nitrogen fixation, and all of them have seemed to have taken. We've gotten a good amount of rain. Things are doing good here, so the rain has helped to get all our new plantings established. This is a persimmon. Persimmon has a nice little comfrey underneath it, thanks to Edible Acres, Sean. We grow that comfrey on the shady side of the tree. It's beautiful. It's planned out. It works great. On this third swale patty, we have thornless variety blackberries, which will be getting ready and ripening up about the time that the wild ones are done fruiting. So we're going to have a long season of berries to pick from out here. Here's another one of those autumn olive, supporting a mulberry around it. And, you know, I need to come out here, chop and drop. It'll look good. Here's another mulberry. We've got a lot of different varieties. We have Mystic Red mulberry. We have black mulberries. We have Pakistani mulberries out here. So the mulberries are looking good. They're pruned up really well. They're going to get big. Another quick polyculture demonstration. Autumn olive, which does need to be chop and dropped a little bit, but it's producing. It's producing quite a bit of fruit. It's getting some nitrogen to the plant right next to it, which is a Chinese chestnut. And what I'm going to do is prune down this autumn olive in another week or two, kind of liberate the chestnut so that it can grow up and over it. Same story with the comfrey planted on the shady side. Here are some hazelnuts. Here's another pair of hazelnuts growing well. And mind you, garden fans, we don't do a whole lot of watering here. Mother Nature has done a lot for us. Between these hazelnuts, we have sea berry growing up. Sea berry everywhere once again. This is a jujube. We got about 5 jujube on site. All of them are flowering, if that'll ever focus. But all the jujube seem to be flowering and should give us a harvest somewhere September, October. Pomegranate on site are all flowering. If this ever stills up, you might see a bee pollinating it, one of our bees. But we do have 4 or 5 pomegranate on site. The more mature ones planted in the very beginning are definitely flowering right now. Everything up here looks good. This is the top swale patty, swale mound. I'm going to loop back around and talk about some things like the clover. I'm glad we've planted clover. That gives us nitrogen fixation. We let the clover go to seed, so it's going to have some natural succession to it. The way this place is developing blows my mind. I followed the rules, and things seem to be thriving, and we're doing very little work to make that happen. We have alpine strawberries here on another polyculture I want to kind of end on. So I'll slow down a bit here to talk about it. These alpine strawberries are spreading runners. They are the ground cover for an all-in-one almond, a plum tree, and then another one of those autumn olive. So once again, I'm going to come out here in the next week or two. I'm going to prune that autumn olive down, kind of liberate the 2 trees next to it. I know it looks tight, but in the future, a 90-foot tall nut tree with a 30-foot tall fruit tree and then a 10-foot tall nitrogen-fixing shrub support species under them is going to look very beautiful. If you're not already, please subscribe, because watching this place develop over the next couple years is going to be amazing. And eventually I'll be able to get a better camera and slow down and a microphone and, you know, narrate these things a little bit better. This season we've been putting a lot more elderberry on our swale mounds to kind of solidify the mounds into the landscape. There are so many nut trees up here. There are so many support species. I'm going to finish out here talking about our education center and watering system. It's still got some polishing up to do. I'm trying to get a drip irrigation set up with each one of these tanks. Kind of need a female-to-female fitting here to make that happen, but water system looks good. Project farm looking very good in its going on third year growing season. What we're going to do here in the next couple weeks is a lot of chop and drop. We're going to be wood chipping our swale pathways to kind of get this place ready to tour. People need to see this, and we're going to be giving a lot of tours this year. If you're interested, please find us on Facebook, Permaculture Homestead 1. There will be a link in the description. We are going to be offering tours to the public. Free tours, donation only. So keep in touch. As always, please like, share, and subscribe. The whole place looks really good, and over the next couple years, it's going to develop into a very dense, lush food forest. I appreciate y'all watching as always. God bless.